Yo, welcome to the Hoop Objective podcast starring your boy Armani. I just wanted to start by introducing myself. I'm 20 years old, from Orlando. Um, Basketball is my first love, first passion, and I love talking about it. And I plan to, educate y'all boys and bring enjoyable hoop talks to my audience. We'll be talking about like high school, college, and NBA topics and players, teams, schemes, all of that. There will be daily episodes, so y'all should expect to hear from me every day, barring anything unexpected. And I do plan to find. I am in the process of trying to find a co-host. It's just gonna be me for now, until I can find a co-host who does have the time to, do this, have the same passion that I have about basketball, and have some type of smart takes to bring to the table, if you know what I mean. I am very hardworking and passionate about this, so finding a co-host that matches me and matches my intensity when it comes to this is gonna be tough. But yeah, we're going to find one soon, because every good Hoops podcast needs a good co-host. So yeah, man, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and get started. Something I also wanted to let y'all know is that this podcast, of course, like most podcasts, is going to be raw, little to no edits. And this is my first episode, so just bear with me, y'all boys. Anyways, we're going to start with a recap of the hoop games yesterday in the NBA. Yesterday, y'all already know it. This game was super hyped up yesterday. You got the Nets and Philly, and this was the first game that they played against each other since the big blockbuster trade with Harden, Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Drummond. I think Paul Millsap was in that trade too. Yeah, Paul Millsap was in that trade too, but he ain't gonna really give minutes, but he was in the trade. Yeah, man, I was watching this game yesterday. I thought this game was lit, like especially the first quarter, bro. Like the first quarter had you like in your seat, like you were really like into the game for the first quarter. It was super chippy. The fans were into it. KD and Joel Embiid was going at it first quarter. Them two, bro, man, watching them two play, especially KD, how skilled he is for a 7-footer is crazy, man. But anyways, KD had a cool 25 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists on an efficient 10 for 17 field goal percentage and 3 for 6 from the 3-point line. And Kyrie, I mean, his stats wasn't crazy. He had 22 points, but they were super efficient. They were super timely with the way he was getting his. Also, Seth Curry, bro. Seth Curry had a cool 24 points, and he had 5 steals, which I didn't even. Well, it makes sense considering how the Nets defense, it was in the passing lanes like the 80s Pistons, man. They defense was crazy. Joel Embiid, he had 27 on 12 rebounds. Like, it's a cool Joel Embiid game. He had 19 free throws. He was 15 of 19 from the free throw line, which is crazy. Joel Embiid shot 19 free throws by himself. Which most of his points in the first quarter, I believe he only had three field goals in the first quarter. Most of his points did come from the free throw line. I believe he had like 12 free throws made in the first quarter. So, yeah, but Harden and Tyrese Maxey, man, those the 2 and the 3 on Philly, and them two had a terrible game, which you should give credit to the Nets defense for that. A lot of the credit to the Nets defense for holding Harden and Maxey to the numbers that they had. Harden had 11 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists on, get this, 3 for 17 from the field, which Yeah, he played bad, but it's also a testament to the Nets defense. The Nets defense was in the passing lanes, man. They was double teaming. They was just flying around. Tyrese Maxey had 4 points, which I remember those 4 points. He had 2 mid-range jumpers that he made. But yeah, man, that Nets defense, I've never seen the Nets defense look that good. Probably because of the crowd and the magnitude of the game. But the Nets defense, bro, they was swarming around. They was double teamings was coming to Harden and Embiid. Offensively, they was very, very, very efficient. Like the shots that they were taking were very good shots. And even when they weren't taking, like they weren't in the offense, they were giving it. They were just going ISO Kyrie and KD. And was like, all right, y'all know what to do. And them two, they did what they were supposed to, and very efficiently. I can't state that enough, how efficient them two were last night. I thought Harden was going to be a little better, which, yeah, 50% of that I'll give to the Nets defense. They did play great, but when you're a superstar player like Harden is, the defense shouldn't be able to hold you to 11 points and 3 for 17 from the field. That's not supposed to happen. And this goes to show that a lot of y'all going to have the narrative of Harden not being able to perform in the big games, which I honestly think is a little bit overstated. But I mean, it does have some merit to it, because Harden, in a lot of those big moments, has not had the best of games. And I know y'all gonna have that narrative about him. Harden has to prove in this postseason that he can bring a team to a conference finals or the finals along with a co-star like Joel Embiid, and he could perform in those big moments, because he is under a lot of pressure. James Harden is under a lot of pressure to help bring Philly to the finals or the conference finals. Like the postseason has to be successful. Nobody's going to really look at the regular season and judge the Philly season off of that. They're going to look at the postseason like, all right, Harden, it's time. It's time, man. What you going to do? And he has to prove that, look, I'm a superstar. I'm an MVP. I've led the league in scoring, 3 times? I'm pretty sure it's 3 times. And look, nope, I'm unguardable. Y'all can't stop me. And the thing about Harden's game, though, is so predicated on skill. I compare him to Seth Curry. Both of their games are so, they don't have a similar game, but I compare them to, because their games are so predicated on skill. And Harden has a little bit more of a physical advantage. Harden's a little taller and stronger than Curry, but his game is the crossovers, the step backs, the between the legs. Put someone to sleep. He gonna go between the legs until he make a move, and then either it's gonna be a step back, a blow by, Euro step, whatever. His game is so predicated on skill that he's gonna have those games where it's like it's not gonna be as consistent as someone like a LeBron or a KD who has those physical advantages over other players. But that's that. So I expect Harden to have a bad game or two in the playoffs. But it's still the regular season. This is only the 4th game that he was with Philly. So I'm not going to give him too much slack. He still has time to get it going. But my point is, he has to get it going. Joel Embiid, he was still in his MVP form. He was 5 of 17 from the field. And a lot of that wasn't really because Joel Embiid was necessarily taking bad shots. It was that the Sixers offense was so stagnant because the Nets defense was flying around. The Sixers offense, if you was watching the game, was basically dribble up the court and let Joel Embiid go to work on either Nick Claxton or Andre Drummond, which he was killing. Andre Drummond, if we're gonna be honest. He was basically doing the same thing to Claxton. The problem was the offense was too stagnant to the point where he couldn't be as efficient as he wanted to, nor could his teammates get into the flow that they would want to get to. But yeah, man, this game was a testament to how formidable the Nets are when KD and Kyrie are on the court. Ben didn't even play. Also, we got to take that into account too. Ben has not been back due to that back injury, which I didn't know he had a back injury before the trade. Before the trade, there was no back injury reported, but apparently he does have a back injury to the point where he can't play yet. But he was on the bench. And Ben, if he wasn't on the bench, I'm not gonna lie, that would have told us a lot about him, because he was gonna have to face that Philly crowd sooner or later, man. That crowd was walling. They was literally like in the pregame warmups. Apparently he came out and he starts like, warming up. I don't know why he would need to warm up. It's not like he's gonna shoot. He's not shooting, so I don't understand why he would be warming up. But anyways, he was warming up, and they was booing him. The slander. You know how the crowds is. Kind of like that OKC crowd when KD came back, and he took it well. Like, I didn't expect him to be doing cry or anything, but he did take it well. Like, he was there smiling, cheering on the Nets. Whenever KD made like a move, he would stand up and cheer him on. But yeah, man, when Ben comes back, that team is scary. This defense is already looking good so far without him. So when Ben comes back, bro, that game is going to be scary. That's going to be scary. Also, let's talk about Golden State and Denver, man. Golden State, they beat Denver 113-102. And in the first quarter, it looked like they had control. Denver had control of the game in the first quarter. Or not even the first quarter, the first half. They had control. And the second half, man, it was a tale of two halves. Which really it wasn't. It was close both halves, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, it felt like Denver had full control of the first half. But second half, two-time MVP, Steph, the best guard in the league right now. He put the team on his back in the second half with 34 points, 3 assists, 9 rebounds. Which Curry has been on an all-time slump this year, which isn't normal. But he's still but people fail to realize he's still averaging 25, 5, and 6. But it is on career low 3-point percentage on 37.8%, 92% free throw shooting, which is Curry. He's going to do that. And 43% from the field, which is pretty low for him. But at the same time, we know what Curry is. We know what Curry is. He's not gonna be like a Westbrook who just falls from superstar to I wouldn't call him. I honestly wouldn't even call Westbrook an all-star right now, for sure. But we know Curry. We know what Curry is. Clay still hasn't been shooting the best from the 3-point line, which he's coming off a torn ACL and a torn Achilles, so it's gonna take him some more time to actually get into it. But there's someone we need to talk about that no one's talking about for some reason, which of course is because he's not getting as many. He hasn't been playing as much as other rookies this year. But Jonathan Kamingo, man, that man is different. I see him as like a more athletic Draymond type of player, but he can actually make spotty threes. Like, he's a spotty shooter. But Jonathan Kuminga's athleticism and intangibles are crazy. The way he runs after every rebound, he goes after every putback. He's at the right places at the right times, man. Kuminga is different. I believe that once this Warriors, Splash Brothers, Draymond era, once they're done, that's going to be Jonathan Kuminga's team. And I'm saying that right now. Kuminga is nice with it. But also, let's talk about the Denver side. Jokic, in the first half, he was having, a Jokic MVP first half. He was doing the little jump hooks he does from the inside of the arc. Jokic was making literally everything. I don't believe he missed from inside the arc for the whole first half. Outside from the 3-point line, he didn't make a shot in the first half, for the whole game. For that matter, he was 0 for 8 from the 3-point line. But he had his routine: 23, 12, and 9 assists, which is cool. But it's not a Jokic MVP game. It's a near triple double, but we all know what Jokic is capable of. Well, let's not say us all, because some people act like Jokic's MVP year from last year isn't legit, which it definitely was legit. Jokic was the MVP last year. It's a small debate for Steph for last year, but he didn't make the playoffs. Well, of course, because of the play-in. They were the 8th seed, but they didn't make the playoffs last year. And he was an 8th seed, so you kind of had to give it to Jokic, but Jokic did deserve last year, and he is the official leader for right now for MVP. I honestly would give it to Embiid right now, but Jokic is an MVP caliber player. We know what he's going to bring, especially come playoff time. Jokic, we don't have to worry about him. He had a near triple-double game, but that second half wasn't the best for him, but it's whatever, man. But Warriors take it over Denver. And I think that when the Warriors get Draymond back, and also James Wiseman is more underrated than we think. He had his rookie year, which was okay. It wasn't the best. And then his second year, he wasn't. Is this his second year? No, this is his third year. He was in that draft with LaMelo. I think in his second year, was he also injured? He was injured, I believe. And then this year he's injured. So we haven't really seen James Wiseman at his full potential. But once they get James Wiseman back, and then they get Draymond back, man, the Warriors are still scary. They haven't been the best without Draymond. They're 17-16 now without Draymond. So we all know that should show people who doubts Draymond's importance why he's so valuable to the Warriors. He's a coach on the floor on offense, coach on the floor on defense. He's a playmaker. He runs that whole team, which people don't realize. Draymond literally runs the whole team offensively and defensively. And there's a lot of young guys on the Warriors right now, which we also don't realize, which is why they also need Draymond, because Draymond can literally show them the Warrior way and, coach them offensively and defensively on the floor. So when Draymond and James Wiseman comes back, the Warriors will be, of course, a championship contender. And now let's get to something I haven't personally been able to get to because I haven't had this podcast yet, but I want to talk about the Lakers and what they should do for the rest of this year. The Lakers are currently sitting at, I believe, the 10th seed. They're the 9th seed. They're behind the Clippers and they're above the Pelicans, which, to be behind the Clippers without Kawhi and Paul George that's not okay, bro. They should not be a 9th seed. And I honestly thought they were championship contenders coming in, like most people. I would at least think they would be a top 3 seed in the West. But they're 9th right now. And a lot of that is because, and let's not put all the blame on Westbrook. Which, yes, Westbrook does deserve some of the blame. But let's not put all the blame on Westbrook, man. It's not all his fault. which I'll say Westbrook deserves. I'll say about 20% of the blame. I'll put 20%, 25% on AD, and then I'll put the rest. I'll put 10% on Coach Vogel too and his coaching staff, which they are a good coaching staff. But the thing is, since losing Jason Kidd, that defense has not looked the same, man. And we gotta remember, Frank Vogel wasn't their number one choice. Their number one choice was Ty Lue. But Ty Lue wanted to choose his own staff, and the Lakers wanted to choose his staff, and Ty Lue was not letting that fly, bro. You're not. Ty Lue is a championship-winning coach. You're not going to choose his staff for him. Let him bring who he wants to bring if y'all want a championship-caliber coach. But Westbrook, man, I think that he has been good with the accounting stats when it comes to points, rebounds, and assists. The problem with Westbrook is he's not, first of all, he won't take accountability for his shortcomings. Westbrook has not sat here and said, look, man, I haven't been playing in the flow of the offense. I haven't been efficient. I haven't been good with the ball when it comes to turnovers. Let's do something different, or let me be better. Instead, he wants to come at the media, come at his coach, Frank Vogel. And, he doesn't, for some reason, he's not seeing that. He is a problem. I wouldn't say he is the problem. He is a problem. And for him to not see that is a problem. What I think should happen with Westbrook, well, what they should have been did weeks ago was consider coming off the bench. Not the coaching staff should have obviously considered it, but I'm saying Westbrook himself should have thought about it and sat back and was like, if I start with LeBron and AD, there will be zero to no spacing. There will be zero spacing, bro. Zero spacing. If he has the basketball knowledge that I would hope he has, I will hope he will be like, look, man, this team, if I start, will have no spacing. I'm going to start for like the first half of the year, first quarter of the year, to see exactly how our team would mesh together. If I can start and, we can do some things special, me, LeBron, and AD, let's do it. But if we're not meshing the way we should, or it's not working the way it should, and obviously because it's spacing and there's a lot of ball dominant players that will be starting, let me consider coming off the bench, kind of like what D Wade did towards the end of his career. D Wade came off the bench, and D Wade could have easily started at the end of his career. I think D Wade was a starter caliber player for sure. But he put his ego aside and was like, you know what? For the betterment of my team, let me come off the bench. And those weren't championship caliber teams. Or we thought the Cavs were a championship caliber team, but with that old group, they weren't. So D Wade still was like, you know what? I'm going to come off the bench, put my ego aside for the betterment of the team. And for some reason, Westbrook just won't do it. He just won't do it, bro. He should come off the bench. What they should have did weeks ago was have him come off the bench, and if he doesn't like it, don't play him. Because he's not helping the team. For sure, he's not helping the team. Honestly, most of the time he's hurting the team. Which he could be helping the team if he came off the bench with that second squad when LeBron is off the court and he was the main playmaker, the main facilitator. Then yeah, he would be a super big help to the Lakers. The Lakers could use that, especially coming off the bench, because their bench does not look good. I don't understand why he wouldn't, or the coaching staff has considered it. I know the coaching staff has considered it, and I know they want him to come off the bench, but they're smart enough to think like, look, if we came to Russ about coming off the bench, how would he react? And they know he wouldn't react well, so they're not gonna really push that. because they know how Russ would react to coming off the bench, or even the idea of coming off the bench to Russ would be crazy. Which I understand it, because Russ is a triple-double. He was averaging a triple-double for 5 years, MVP, co-star to Kevin Durant for those, Thunder championship caliber teams, the championship contenders. I could understand it. I could understand why his ego would be that big, or why he would think he shouldn't come off the bench. Man, at the same time, bro, you're not the same guy that you were. Nor is this the same team. This is a different situation, bro. You have to adapt to what your situation is, which he hasn't been doing. But like I said, Russ isn't the only problem. I believe a bigger problem than Russ has been AD at Anthony Davis, man. When Anthony Davis has only played 37 games this year, and he's made of glass. Let's call it what it is, man. AD has been made of glass. He is super fragile. He cannot stay on the court. He just can't stay on the court, man. And he's been having these problems since the Pelicans days, where he's always injured, which, like, he can't control that. Let's be honest. AD can't control that. I'm not gonna act like AD is intentionally getting hurt or whatever. He can't control that. It's just, that's how his body is. His body isn't made to be as durable as, let's say, a LeBron, in the past. But when he is on the court is what people should be destroying him about. When AD is on the court, man, he looks, what's the word for it? AD looks like a daisical. He doesn't look like he's, like, for example, let me compare him to Giannis. Giannis has been compared to AD for a while. We both thought those two were going to be both were going to be top 3 in the league for years to come. We knew one of them was going to be the best in the league, which it looks like Giannis. Giannis is debatably the best player in the league. But the difference between them is, 1, Giannis is durable, and 2, Giannis plays every game like it's his last. Every game to Giannis, when you watch Giannis is giving it his all at all times. When you watch AD's just not doing that, man. AD has not been giving it his all every game. And if you watch him, it's like, AD should be the focal point of the Lakers. AD should be the leading scorer. He should be the number one guy right now, considering LeBron's age and LeBron's new injury history. LeBron is starting to get hurt more than he used to get hurt. So AD should be the focal point. The problem is, AD doesn't have that mentality. AD's not Giannis to where he's going to say, all right, this is my team. Give me the ball. Let me dominate. Which he could easily do that. AD is that type of guy. And also, AD is also hurting himself because for some reason, I don't know why, especially in the times we're in 2022, this man AD, he just will not play the 5. He will not do it. He will not do it. Which is, bro, that's the biggest problem in my opinion. You're playing with Russell Westbrook and LeBron James as your co-stars. You have to play the 5. You have to play the 5 because let's say you start Russ. You start a 2 guard. Let's say who's been starting? They've had different starting lineups, but let's say they start Malik Monk. Let's say Russell Westbrook, Malik Monk, LeBron, AD, and a 5. Let's say any 5. Dwight. Let's put Dwight in there. Bro, that's the worst spacing you will ever see, bro. That's the worst spacing you will ever see. And that's a big problem. AD will not play the 5. And if he does play the 5, he won't play it willingly. You can tell when you watch him that he's not really playing to the caliber that he could be because he's playing the 5. And it's not a physicality thing. It's not a skill thing. It's a mental thing. AD could be literally a top 5 player in the league. He is a top 5 caliber player in the league, but he plays like he's top 25. He doesn't play like he's top 5. With some games, you can see it. You can see it in some games where AD has the mentality to say, all right, look, I'm the best player on the court. None of y'all can stop me. I'm going to dominate y'all. When he has that mentality, AD is literally the best player on the Lakers, in my opinion. He could be the best player on the Lakers. Him and LeBron, debatable, whatever. But it's arguable that he is the best player on the Lakers when he's aggressive at all times and playing his hardest at all times. So AD's problem, which has always been talked about, everyone thinks is, oh, he's always hurt. He's always hurt. He's always hurt. AD's problem isn't only injury. AD's problem is his mentality. For some reason, he doesn't play his hardest at all times. He doesn't go at people the way Giannis will go at people. And for some reason, he won't willingly play the 5. He has to willingly play the 5. He can't just play the 5 and, not be mentally the AD that we know AD is or could be. He has to willingly do it and dominate the other 5s, because it's not like we're in 1990 anymore. There's not like many dominant physical centers like there were back in the day. So it's not like he's actually playing 5s. Which in some games, of course, like when he plays Embiid, Giannis, whatever. Yeah, of course. But most of the time, bro, he's playing a 5 that he can easily dominate. He just won't do it. For some reason, he just won't do it. Another thing we have to talk about the Lakers is the depth. Which, honestly, coming into the season, I thought depth wouldn't be a problem because, yes, they're old, but they have some proven guys like Melo, like Dwight, which was on that 2020 championship team in the bubble, and gave them some good minutes. Dwight was pretty dominant defensively, and he would get those putbacks, the lobs. Dwight was playing well in the bubble when he got his first ring versus my team. So honestly, that year I'm not mad about it because we did overachieve, but considering that we had injuries and whatever, the Lakers, whatever, the Heat lost, we lost, whatever. The Lakers won, and they won the championship with Dwight. Kent Bazemore, he's a good defender, not really great offensively, but whatever. They had Rondo, who was back from the championship team. Avery Bradley, great defender. Austin Reeves, good catch and shoot, 3-point shooter. And Taylor Horton Tucker, Malik Monk, like they had some guys. They had some depth. It's not like they didn't have any depth, or so we thought coming into the year. But their bench players, or their so-called depth, I would call them depth players, has not played to the caliber that we thought we were going to play at, which Melo is playing relatively to what we thought he was going to do. Melo's doing relatively what he usually does. Malik Monk has had a really good year. For him, he's been a really good, catch and shoot three-point shooter. He's been aggressive. He's actually had that aggressive mindset. When he comes off the bench, he gives the Lakers some off the bench scoring. But Malik Monk has had a really good year. Taylor Horton Tucker is, he's cool. Everyone, like Lakers fans, kind of overrated him, to be honest. Like a while ago, not even a while ago, last year and the year before that, like they will overrate Taylor Horton Tucker a little bit, which he has good games here and there. But he's a pretty good mid-range shooter. He's a pretty good finisher, okay defender. Like Taylor Horton Tucker is okay. He's cool, but he hasn't been the best this year. They also have Austin Reeves, who is honestly, if he gets more minutes, he could be really honestly. I would have started Austin Reeves because he gives you that spacing that they need, that they desperately need. Which he's also had a pretty good year. Avery Bradley, but he's not going to give you off that offensive punch that you need, nor will he give you the spacing. So the problem isn't like it is depth, but moral of the story is they don't have spacing. They just don't. So they have depth issues. They have spacing issues. They have injury issues, which also LeBron has had injury problems this year also. He hasn't been consistently on the court. But LeBron has, like, honestly, I would consider this one of his best individual years. Like, this is one of LeBron's best individual years. We can't really get on LeBron about his on the court play. Like, anyone who gets on LeBron about his on the court play is an idiot. But what you can get on LeBron about is his injuries, which, like I said, with AD, you can't get on a player about injuries necessarily because they can't control injuries, especially when you get to a point where they are when it comes to how much they work out and the nutrition. So we know they're taking care of their body. But when it comes to injuries, man, you can't control that. But at the same time, that we still have to state that is a problem. LeBron has had injury issues. AD has had injury issues. And AD has had on the court issues. Westbrook has had on the court issues. They have no depth. They have no spacing. And to top it off, they're the oldest team in the league. The oldest team in the league, man. So, moral of the story is, let's get to what I would do if I were them. Because, let's be honest, this year is over. They could be a playing team, make it in the playoffs, but they're gonna be bounced in the first round. They're gonna get bounced in the first round. So, this is what I would do. Honestly, especially with the injury issues they've been having. And AD, we don't know if he's going to be back this year. They're hoping he's back for the playoffs, but we don't know if he's going to be back this year. So, if I'm going to be honest, I would sit LeBron for the year, especially because he does have a new injury. I would sit LeBron for the year. I would honestly sit AD for the year. And I would sit Westbrook for the year. I will call it a spade. I would call a spade, man. I would say sit everyone for this year, especially because you need that longevity from LeBron and AD. I would say sit everyone. No, not everyone. The star players. Sit LeBron, AD, and Westbrook. And, I will come into it next year. Into the offseason. I'm looking to trade Russ, man. You have to trade Russ. You have to get what you can out of him. If that's a first rounder, if that's, a bad contract. But, like, for example, if they took a bad contract, but it was a 3-and-D scorer or shooter, whatever, that's what I would do. I would trade Westbrook. Because you're not going to trade Westbrook and not take a hit for it. Because no one's going to take a 33-year-old athletic slasher with a bad contract and not expect anything in return for that. You're going to have to take either a bad contract for a bad contract or give them a first rounder. You're going to have to take a hit, man. And I would do whatever I can to get Westbrook out. I would do anything I can to get Westbrook out. And I would have LeBron and AD focus on health for the offseason. Focus on their bodies. Focus on getting back. And, don't ruin the future because you want to save a done a done season. Because this year is done. This year is finished. The Lakers aren't going to do anything this year. And if they do make the playoffs, it's going to be a first round exit by the Warriors, the Suns, the Grizzlies. Or they're not going to get up to the Sixers. So it's going to be or the Grizzlies, because the Grizzlies can make the second seed too. So you're going to get bounced out the first round by the Grizzlies, Warriors, or Suns if you make the playoffs, which, that doesn't help you. It doesn't help you. So sit LeBron, sit AD, and get Westbrook out. And also, I just wanted to address those people who say that they should trade LeBron or they should trade AD. Bro, that is so dumb. That is so idiotic. That is so dumb on so many levels. Hypothetically, you trade LeBron and AD. Their value isn't as high as you would think their value is. LeBron's value isn't as high as it used to be. AD's value isn't as high as it used to be. So you're going to trade two superstars for a package that doesn't even reflect how good they really are because their value isn't high. If you trade LeBron and AD for a specific reason, for example, AD, if you trade him because he has an injury issue, don't you think the team that you're trading him to will also see that he has an injury issue and that he has like a aggression issue? So they wouldn't give you the package that you think you would want because AD's value isn't up there right now. That's idiotic. They shouldn't trade neither of them. What they should do is keep them and scrap the rest of the team. I will scrap the rest of the team, which it's easier said than done. But this is what they have to do. I would scrap the rest of the team, trade Westbrook, get out of his contract if you can, or, trade him for another bad contract. But if you're going to trade him for another bad contract, someone that fits. And you have to put players around LeBron that we know LeBron would win a championship with. And that's shooters and defenders. 3 and D. Those are players historically that fit with LeBron, that are known to fit with LeBron, that are known to win championships with LeBron. Don't build around AD because AD is not someone. Talent-wise, he is. Talent-wise, he can be your number one championship best player. But mentality-wise and injury-wise, you don't want to bet on AD. So, of course, you're going to have to build around LeBron. Shooters and defense. Shooting and defense. Also, you're going to need like a shot-creating, playmaking type guard. So, you're going to have to look for that. But, yeah. Because I was going to say they could try to go after Dame, but there's no package that the Lakers could put together to go get Dame. So, anyways, you have to build around LeBron. Come this offseason, you sit LeBron, you sit AD, you sit Westbrook, and you come into it this offseason. I wouldn't say getting a new coach would fix anything because, Frank Vogel has won a championship with the Lakers. It's just honestly, let's be honest. Frank Vogel is not the guy who's going to take a team and like the Lakers, who is super hard to, coach and put a scheme around because there's so many egos, there's so many different play styles, there's so many ball dominant players. Frank Vogel is not the guy who's going to get that to mesh. He's not going to be the guy that makes it mesh. Eric Spoelstra, when he had LeBron, D-Wade, Bosh, that team was kind of the same deal. It was kind of the same deal. The problem was, the difference was, the Heat had shooters and defenders, and they also had Eric Spoelstra. Eric Spoelstra found a way to make that work. Frank Vogel is not that guy. He's not going to find a way to make it work. So this offseason, you have to come into it with the mindset of, look, Frank Vogel isn't the best coach. Frank Vogel isn't going to make this work, but Frank Vogel is competent. Frank Vogel is a really good defensive coach. So honestly, getting rid of him isn't going to make you better. But what will make you better is you have to get Westbrook out of. You have to get Westbrook out of there, and you have to build around AD and LeBron. No, not AD. Don't build around AD. I'm contradicting myself. Don't build around AD. You build around LeBron. Shooters and defenders. Shooters and defenders. AD's going to have to just fit in where he can. Shooters and defenders. And you go into it next year with a different squad, and you try to go get it done. But let's change leagues. Let's go to college basketball. And I don't know how many of y'all watch college basketball, but I watch a lot of college basketball, which I haven't watched as much as I should this year. Like I've watched, I'll say 80% as much as I usually do. But there's a prospect I want to talk about, which this is still kind of an NBA topic, but it's more college. It's NBA / college because they're talking about a draft prospect, which is Chet Holmgren. And for some reason, Chet Holmgren hasn't been getting the recognition that he should be getting. A lot of people have been giving Paolo Banchero from Duke, a lot of the recognition. He's in 2K. He's, a lot of the prospects are talking about it. He's all over social media, which is rightfully so. Paolo Banchero is going to be the number 1 pick or the number 2 pick. But I honestly think, it's not even close between who's the best player in college basketball this year and who's the best draft prospect for the 2022 draft. I honestly think, Chet Holmgren is the best prospect / best college basketball player this year by far. Chet Holmgren is the best player by far. And the reason I say that, man, is like they say there's not any prospect from the past that you would compare him to, but I would compare him to AD. A lot of people don't see it for some reason, but I compare Chet to AD. But I honestly think he's a little better. He's 7 feet tall. He's super long wingspan. He's averaging 14 points, 10 rebounds, 1.8 assists. But he's also averaging 3.6 blocks. 3.6 blocks. On 41% 3-point percentage, 61% from the field, 75% from the free throw line. But the numbers are crazy. Let's be honest. For a 7-footer to be shooting 41% from the 3 and averaging 3.6 blocks per game on a cool 10 rebounds a game as a freshman, I might add, it's crazy, bro. But the thing is, when I watch Chet is like, he's like this long, lanky, skilled big man that could post up a little bit. He's only 195, which is a concern. But I believe he's gonna be like AD. AD was around the same weight as a freshman at Kentucky. AD ended up gaining weight, of course, but Chet is that skilled big man who can dribble, shoot, pass. He could post up a little bit. He has some post moves. And he's a really good defender. He could play perimeter D and inside D. At 195, playing, interior defense isn't as easy as you would think. But he's a really good interior defender. He's a really good perimeter defender. He's a good shooter. He can do those fast breaks to where he can take the ball up. He can go from end to end, 94 feet. And Chet is a unicorn. But my thing is, he has to gain weight. Which it will happen if he goes to the right team. It will happen if he goes to the right team. But he would have to go to a team that could, actually develop him the way that he should be developed, which I'm hoping that OKC gets the number 1 pick and they draft him, because OKC has been a really good developmental team and they have really good scouting to where they could look at you and be like, okay, I know he has the best chance of being really good. Let's take him. Chet with SGA and Josh Giddey, Lou Dort, and them boys, that would be a really good core for OKC to build around. And also, the thing that I think that OKC is missing, because they are one of the worst offensive teams in the league, is they're missing that dog. They're missing that dude that could come to you and bring some culture into there. Which they already do have a good culture with Sam Presti as the GM and president. Sam Presti has instilled a really good culture on OKC. But they need that player who's going to do that. Which SGA he's good. Josh Giddey is really good. But Chet Holmgren is a dog. Chet is a dog, bro. And he's super versatile. And he doesn't have any physical limitations. Other than weight, of course. Weight is something that will come, though, if he goes to a team that can develop him the right way. But he has a long wingspan. He's tall, 7 feet tall. Again, little to no physical limitations. Could play perimeter D, inside D. Can run a fast break if he has to. Can shoot if he has to. And his post game is okay, but his post game will develop over time. So, and he's a dog. Chet is a dog. Chet is literally a dog. That's literally my favorite prospect coming out of college in a long time, man. Chet is a dog. Chet should be getting more recognition than he is getting. On a winning team, on Gonzaga, which Gonzaga wins every year, and he has Drew Timme and those guys. But, on a winning team, and he has that winning culture. Chet hasn't done nothing but winning since high school and college. So, if you compare him to the other draft prospects like Banchero, Ivy, and all of those guys, Jaden Hardy, he is by far, in my opinion, the best prospect in this class. And by far the best college basketball player. My thing with Banchero is he is a spotty shooter. Also, he can shoot if he has to. He's really physical. He's a super physically gifted player. He's athletic, 6'9", big, strong player. He also has no physical limitations. Which he's probably a little bit more physically gifted than Chet. Because again, Chet is 195. Banchero is probably a good 240, 245. And Banchero is a man-child. Banchero will be the number 2 pick, maybe the number 1 pick, depending on the team that that gets the pick and likes him better. But Banchero, my thing with him is he isn't as good of a defender as Chet is. Honestly, he's not as much of a dog as Chet is either. But the thing with him is he's already really good. Like, I would say he's more NBA ready than Chet is. He's definitely more NBA ready. He has a higher floor and lower ceiling, I would say. I think Chet has a higher ceiling, but he also has a lower floor. If he goes to the wrong team, he won't be as good as he can be, Chet. But I think the thing with Banchero, what's enticing about him, is that Banchero could literally go to any team. Not any team. Almost any team. He could go to because if he went to the Kings, they would destroy him. The teams like the Kings, they destroy almost everyone, and they make almost every bad decision that's possible to make. But anyways, Banchero could go to almost any team and make an immediate impact. I think Chet needs more of a better situation. And Chet needs more of a better developmental, a team that's better with development than Banchero might need, because Banchero is almost, he's going to be at his peak in, a year or two. Chet might take a little longer. But Chet's ceiling, though, if he goes to the right team, Chet's ceiling is it's infinite. Chet can be a top 5 player, in my opinion, top 10 player, if he gets to the right team and if he gets in the right situation. And I believe OKC would be the best situation, especially with Josh Giddey and SGA in that backcourt, because they already have the backcourt of the future. SGA, he's a really good playmaker. He's a good playmaker, good defender. He's really good from the mid range. That's his shot. SGA's mid range jumper is crazy. He's an okay 3-point shooter. Like he's a little bit above average 3-point shooter. Giddey has had a really good rookie year. He's had a really good rookie year, and I knew it. If you go back to those videos that I've made before the podcast, like I had a previous channel that I tried to get started. I had a video that showed that I thought Josh Giddey was going to be he was going to be one of the best players in this draft, which a lot of other people didn't see, but I seen it. Him and Scotty Barnes, I've seen it before most other people seen it. But anyways, they got Josh Giddey, they got SGA already. That backcourt is already solidified. So what they really need is a big man of the future. And Chet would literally be the perfect player for them. Be the perfect player for them, man. I think Banchero's team, if I was to choose a team that he would be best in, I would say the Rockets, for sure. They already got a Perrin Sengun. They got Jalen Green. Josh Christopher is going to be a nice role player in the future, for the future. Like they already have, and there's somebody that we're forgetting. Usman Garuba, who hasn't been playing for the Rockets this year, but Usman Garuba will be, for sure, at the bare minimum, a great defender. He's going to be an all-defense type defender. All-defense team type defender. He hasn't been playing much because he is a developmental player, but Usman Garuba is going to be a really good piece for them too. But anyways, under Silas, if they get Banchero, that team's going to be they're not going to be good next year, but they're going to be a good team for the future. That's going to be a very nice team for the future. Also, while we're talking about the Rockets, bro, can they trade Christian Wood? Christian Wood he's a good player. I'm not saying trade him because he's not a good player. I'm saying trade him because he would be way better on a championship type contender team or a playoff team. And they will be able to get some assets for him. But whatever. We're not here to talk about the Rockets. We're here to talk about, right now, it's Chet and Paolo Banchero and those draft prospects. And I just wanted to make a point to y'all boys that we need to stop sleeping on Chet, bro. We need to stop sleeping on Chet. Chet is the best player and he's the best player in college basketball this year, and he's the best prospect. But no one's talking about it. No one's talking about it. For some reason. But, come March Madness coming, he gonna show y'all. Which, I'm not gonna sit here and say he has haters. He doesn't have haters. My point is, he hasn't been talked about enough. He has not been talked about enough, bro. And we need to get used to that. But anyways, man, that's gonna be the end for me. That's gonna be the episode 1, the origin, man. And I'm gonna be doing this every day. We gonna continue the grind. I'm really passionate about this, and I'm hoping my audience gonna be passionate about this too. But that's gonna be the end for me. Y'all go ahead and support me, whatever streaming site you're using, whatever platform you're listening from. Give it a like, give me a comment, give me a subscribe, whichever platform you're listening from. Just go ahead and help me out any way you can, man. And the grind's starting now, and let's go ahead and rise the ranks. This was the Hoop Objective Podcast. My name's Armani, and we out. Peace.